by viewers like you. It's not just storytelling, it's enlightening. PBS Hawaiʻi, home is here.
Local broadcasts of Insights on PBS Hawaiʻi are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo, and by Carl Smith Ball, providing legal services throughout Hawaii and the Pacific since 1857, making a positive difference in the communities where we live and work. The push to eat more locally grown food is nothing new. While it's optional at home, a state law requires that at least 30% of the food purchased by public schools for student meals be locally sourced by the year 2030. So far, it's been tough for the Department of Education to try and achieve this mandate. We'll check in on their progress as a new school year is about to begin. Tonight's live broadcast and live stream of Insights on PBS Hawaiʻi start now.
Aloha and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaiʻi. I'm Daryl Huff. In recent years, several laws have been put in place to bolster the practice of farm to school. Act 175 mandates the Department of Education to locally source 30% of school food by the year 2030. Eventually, that will increase to 50% by 2050. The DOE has been tasked with hitting specific benchmarks to achieve its mandated goals, but so far they've missed the mark. Tonight, our panel will discuss the challenges facing the department as well as the progress being made to get more local food on the school menu. We look forward to your participation in tonight's show. You can email or call in your questions, and you'll find a live stream of this program at pbshawaii.org and a PBS Hawaii YouTube page. Now to our guests. Keith Hayashi is the superintendent of the Hawaii Public School System, overseeing 160,000 students, 258 campuses, and more than 40,000 employees. He's been with the State Department of Education for more than 30 years, starting his career as a teacher at Lehua Elementary. Kawika Kahiapo is the Farm to School Initiative Program Coordinator with the Hawaii Public Health Institute. In this role, he also serves as the Hawaii Youth Food Council Lead Advisor. Kawika has a degree from UH West Oahu in Sustainable Community Food Systems and enjoys growing things. Born and raised in Haleiwa, Natalie McKinney is the Chief Program Officer for the Kōkua Hawaii Foundation, which supports environmental education in schools and communities. She has a Master of Fine Arts degree in Youth Theater from UH Manoa and loves homegrown mountain apples. And there's a lot of those in Wailua. And Senator Mike Gabbard is the Chair of the Agriculture and Environment Committee. He represents District 21 on Oahu that includes Kapolei, Makakilo, Kalaeloa, and Ewa. He was the first elected to the Senate in 2006, and prior to that, served on the Honolulu City Council. Let me start off with Natalie McKinney. Natalie, what is the reason that we want schools to be the customer for local food?
Healthy food grows healthy children, and healthy children create healthy communities. And so I think it really just starts there. If we're feeding our children scratch-made, nutritious, local meals, they then can learn better and they can be positive contributors to our society. It's
typed two different ways. Kahiapo. What's the business reason that something like this is helpful to local agriculture?
Well, I mean, we lack a real fundamental economic resource here. We've been depending on tourism for for generations now. Where traditionally we have agricultural resources and used to be able to use that as an economic export to really build Hawaii. So I think having DOE schools be able to purchase from local farmers will really be a boost to local economy.
And Senator Gabbard, that was the intention behind these laws, right?
Exactly.
But is it awkward for a legislature to tell a department that's primary mission is education that you're going to be the driving force behind agriculture?
No, not really, because actually the bills that had been passed into law was just not singling out DOE, but it was state departments. And the thing that most people have seen on the news that we import 85 to 90% of our food at a cost of about $3 billion every year. And that's got to change. And this program of regional kitchens, I'm really stoked. I'm really excited about what's going to, as this thing unfolds for our whole state. It's really going to help out.
What's a regional kitchen? How does that work? Has that changed the way the DOE delivers food?
Yeah, Darryl, we have several strategies in the department that we're moving forward. Regional kitchen definitely is a major one of them. Regional kitchen follows Zippy's concept, where we would source and make our food at a regional kitchen. So we're building one out in Whitmore. And from that regional kitchen, we're able to get the ingredients, make locally sourced, leverage locally sourced, quality, great tasty meals for our students. And then from there, we would deliver them to the serving kitchens at different schools. So the first regional kitchen is going to be servicing Lelehua, Mililani, Wailua complex. And at the outset of its completion of phase 3, we're looking at about 60,000 meals a day. And the department serves over 100,000 students, 100,000 meals per day right now.
So why is something like that necessary? Kawika, why is it necessary that a regional kitchen, you can't just go to the store and buy this food, right? Is that, it's the handoff from the farmer to the school that is the trick here, right?
Processing the local produce into an edible meal, it takes some time and equipment. And so there's probably a few ways that we could do that, but a regional kitchen is a good way that we could be able to mass produce meals for the different schools.
And then we're going to get into some of the products that are available because to me, we were talking earlier, it was twice baked and butter rolls is what I remember from school lunch. And we've got a lot of questions already. I can start getting into it from our viewers and appreciate all these good questions. And this one matches my nostalgia. It says, back in the day when our kids went to Kalaeloa school, is there still a Kalaeloa school? Yes. Where is it?
Hawaii Island.
Oh, really? Okay. The foods were fresh, local, and cooked daily before the kids arrived. We could smell the meats roasting in the early mornings. The fruits and vegetables were mostly locally grown. For $1, we, the parents, could sit down and have breakfast along with the kids. That's Maya via Facebook. It ain't like that anymore, right, Keith?
Well, we want to get back to that, and we want to get back to a point where we are, again, leveraging locally sourced, supporting our local ag. I think what I learned was that menu is really important, because once we have that menu drives what we're purchasing, menu drives what we're making. So we're really fortunate that we're partnering with the Hawaii Ag Foundation, with the Culinary Institute of the Pacific and Culinary Institute of America to help create and support us in creating a different menu, and that we can leverage locally sourced products. And we started professional development and training for a few of our Lelehua, Mililani, Wailua cafeteria managers and cooks and bakers. And I tell you, I went through that training the last day, and food was great. And I said to myself, if this is what we're going to be creating, it's exciting for our students. We'll be able to leverage local ag. It's exciting for our farmers.
Let me ask, Natalie, what are the products that are out there? It's hard to picture kids wanting to eat. Some kids would want. I keep picturing poi and breadfruit, and that's probably not a fair assumption.
The DOE has plans to serve poi this upcoming school year on the menu.
They haven't done that before?
They have done it. There have been pilots of it. One was actually just this past school year. They were able to serve poi to neighbor island schools due to some procurement issues that are kind of being ironed out at the legislature. They were only able to do a small purchase order to be able to serve poi to neighbor island schools, but they're looking at doing full poi service to all schools.
And Kawika, what things do you think could be on the menu that would be appealing to kids? We heard today about, and this was news today, I guess, that they could make animal crackers from starting with breadfruit and end up with animal crackers. What kind of creative things are happening in that area to get the menu interesting?
I don't know if it has to be creative. I think what we need to do is go back to what we're eating at home, have kimchi, different pickled foods, fruits and vegetables. Eating a wide variety of assortments of nutritious foods would be beneficial. I don't know if I have anything that I actually stick on the menu specifically, but it's just having available to eat at school the same things that we're familiar with at home.
And right now, a lot of the fruits and vegetables are canned. like the students are served canned pineapple when we have a pineapple resource grown all across our state. So looking at some of the items that are currently on the menu, and are there ways for us to procure locally? What are the volumes that are needed? And then putting the word out to the farmers like, hey, we're gonna need 100 tons of green onion. Lelehua High School, they're GAP certified, which means that they can sell to a distributor who can sell to the Department of Education and get it in a school lunch program.
Yeah, exactly what she's saying is what Keith mentioned it earlier. Imagine, let's say, Whitmore, that's where the first regional kitchen's going to be. I think it's
There used to be a lot of pineapple in Whitmore, too.
I think it's going to open the fall of 2027.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
I say between now and then, think about those farmers all in that area there. They're all going, and when it finally opens, right, they're going to say, oh, we need 500 pounds of carrots. We need 1,000 pounds of talo. We need, you know what I'm saying? Those farmers around there, they're all planning for this now, and they can count. That relationship is going to be really, really cool. In fact, that's what, when we first started this, 2015 was when the legislature first passed a law saying Hawaii will be a school, I'm sorry.
Farm to school.
Farm to school. We have a farm to school program in Hawaii in 2015.
That was
part
10
of
years
that,
ago.
Exactly.
Well, yeah,
one of the things I've learned in politics, patience and determination. You never give up. And that's why I'm so excited about this program, because it's going to help get healthy kids, help our farmers. It's just, it's really,
and the first farm to school program, which was mandated by the legislature, was actually putting a farm to school coordinator in the Department of Agriculture. And people were like, why is the farm to school coordinator in the Department of Ag? And so that's what Act 71 did, was it moved the farm to school program out of the Department of Agriculture and into the Department of Education, where they were able to then really understand how a school system works, how many school meals are produced, what the volume is that they need, how much lettuce do they need on a daily basis to serve 100,000 school meals.
Keith, you wanted to say something?
Well, and thanks to the legislature, Representative Kalaeloa introduced a measure that actually raised our small purchasing threshold from $25,000 to $250,000 now. So we're looking at items.
But explain how that works in a specific example.
So we have a list of items that we purchase off of a bid list that we're required to follow that under procurement. There are some items that aren't on that list. So we could purchase up to $25,000 of poi last year. $25,000 is great, but it doesn't go a long way.
No.
So thanks to the legislature, they raised that for us, so now it's $250,000. So we're looking at lychee, locally grown lychee. We're looking at kabocha. We're looking at luau leaf for luau stew. So it's that menu that helps us to drive what we're able to purchase. So I think this is, like Senator said, this is a really exciting time. I think not only for the department and for our students, but how we can support local ag and the local economy is really important.
So let me just another question from a viewer that kind of is in line with what we're talking about right now. I did talk to a Hawaiian cafeteria manager. I don't know if it means Hawaiian or Hawaii in Hawaii. I don't know whether it's native Hawaiian or not. I don't know if it's going to matter until I finish this question. I did talk to a Hawaiian cafeteria manager who told me that they want to, but having a steady supply was a definite challenge. It will take a lot of government support to become viable, I believe, but is worth it so on so many levels. That's Ryan off of Facebook. Does this take, Mike, is this going to cost taxpayers more money to do this?
At this point, it may, but, for example, because we're talking about 7 regional kitchens across the state. 2 on Oahu, 2 on the Big Island.
So these are new buildings that are going to be built to do this. So that's an investment.
Yes. Yeah, but in my view, it's well worth it. It's about time to get the ball rolling on this issue.
And if we're talking about purchasing locally sourced, it may cost a little more than purchasing items that are from the continent. But I think it's important that, and the legislature has also made it a point that it's important that we purchase local to support our local ag and get nutritious meals to our students.
Well,
and so right now, the cafeteria managers, they order from the bid list and they purchase through distributors.
See, this is what I was trying to get earlier. So this bid list and the small purchase approval enables a cafeteria manager or at least a regional kitchen manager to buy an appropriate amount of food for their demand.
So yeah, currently,
and.
yes, yes. And so currently, our cafeteria managers do a great job. They purchase from the distributors. We're looking to build
Distributor like a Waihata or
Yes,
Armstrong
right,
or something
Armstrong.
like that. Okay.
Right. And so, we would want to have more locally sourced from our distributors, but also providing opportunities for our local farmers to set that system up. So when they're GAP certified, they can sell directly to the schools or through a food hub or through the distributors. So it's
Kawika, how does that make a difference to a farmer?
Well, I mean, you have somebody that's willing to purchase your produce on a regular basis.
Directly, right? You're
Directly.
taking the middleman out of that process.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we need to do. Again, the problem there is that making sure that all those small farms are GAP certified as well, and that stands for good agricultural practices. Making sure that when they're growing these produce, they have food safety in mind, really, so that it's edible products that we're able to put on the kids' plate.
Does that like limit pesticides and regulate water? What is GAP?
I mean, there is some soil testing, water purity testing types of stuff, but also it's mainly keeping good records, making sure that you have facilities, toilets, and hand washing facilities within a certain amount of space so that the farmers can use that to be clean when they're handling the produce.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think what's important is that the confidence, both for the farmers and for the department, that if we're purchasing, for example, bok choy, and we need so many pounds of bok choy, that we're assured that we can get that, because if there's a heat wave or flood, we can't tell the students, say, it didn't come in today, so we're not getting your local meal, because our meals all have to be USDA qualified. It has to meet a certain standard, and so that confidence from the local farmer or from local farmers selling to the distributor and the distributor selling to us is a way for us to do it and move forward.
Another question that's not really a question, but it's 50 years ago we had a shipping strike and nobody panicked because we had grown our own food. I think it was more than 50 years ago, but if we have a shipping strike, we won't have any of those. How did we lose the ability to grow our own food? That's interesting. Kawika, what happened?
Lots of things.
Well, they stole the water first.
Well, yeah, the land is hard to access,
Yeah, right.
but really it's land and labor costs here in Hawaii. It is so expensive to own the land and then to pay the people to work the land. You can basically grow any place else in the world for cheaper and have it shipped in here for less than it costs to grow here. But again, the difference is making sure that we have food here for when we need it, when the containers can't come in.
Because I mean, as you mentioned, there's seasonal fluctuations in all of these things. When the water gets too warm, taro gets difficult and so on. How do you deal with that in a local thing? If you're only local, but you've got seasonal fluctuations in all these different products.
I mean, well, farmers are really smart, and if they know that they are able to have a buyer, then they can forecast that and they can plant out effectively. There's a farmer, his name is Larry Jeffs.
Larry Jeffs,
He
yeah.
owns our Sugarland, and he looked and said, what is the number one thing that we're importing? And it was bananas. And so he just started planting up a storm of bananas. And now we have very high volume yield of local bananas. And so if the farmers are able to say, like, okay, we're going to need ka'u oranges because those are sliced and put on the tray, then those farmers can plant more trees and they can anticipate that they are going to have someone to sell them to. And if we have them on multiple islands and these regional kitchens that could then be a food hub or a processing facility, then we can regionalize things so that we're not dependent on, if there's a flood in Hilo, then what happens to the schools on Kauai, where right now we're kind of not so regionalized.
Well, and there's a multi-agency approach too to it. So for example, the Department of Agriculture, Farm Bureau is working with planning with the farmers, so that when you talk about those fluctuations, I think it also goes back to the menu, right? So we need to plan our menus in the right way so that Department of Ag and North Shore EVP and everyone can work together with the farmers so that they know what to plant. They have the confidence that the department's going to buy from them, and then we move forward. And I think that's how everyone working together will get this really going.
But part of this, go back to what your question, Daryl, is that the reality is the farmers are decreasing big time. Average age of farmers is 60 years old, and I say this every time I give a speech to young people, that farming is a noble profession, no less noble than being a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, because you're doing something that we all have in common. We eat. Right? So there's literally hundreds of thousands of acres of ag land available.
Because land is not the issue anymore.
No,
right?
it's not the issue at all. But from the legislative point of view, we have to make sure that there are low interest loans, right? And however else we can help farmers.
I mean, yeah, Kawika, Kahiapo, describe what it takes for someone to start a farm or get going into this business, and is there education available? So how do you even learn how to do this?
There are quite a few different programs. I highly recommend. LCC has a great sustainable ag program. UH West Oahu. There's also a Go Farm program out of that actually teaches people who want to be to farm what the process is to farm on land, and then they afterwards they work with these new farmers, give them a space and support to actually grow there.
They actually find them a place?
Yes.
For a time being, yes.
Yeah.
Also, I have to mention Ma'o Farms out on the Waianae. They've got a youth leadership training program where young people between 17 and 24, they come, they work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from dawn until noon. They learn all aspects of regenerative organic farming, planting, harvesting, everything.
So is there a true pipeline?
They
for
get
farmers?
paid a stipend. Each student gets paid a stipend of I think it's like $600 a month now, plus, and here's the big one, they get their college tuition paid for.
By who?
Ma'o Organic
By
Farms.
Ma'o, yeah. So they get grants and, you know.
They do their own philanthropy.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a
exactly.
philanthropy. It's not like because they're making so much money that they can hand this money out. Okay.
But it's an incredible program, Daryl. I've been out there numerous times on site visits and talked to young people out there, and it's changed their lives. It really has changed their lives. So programs like that.
Do you see that there, I mean, again, you're talking about a tremendous increase in demand at DOE, a ramp-up period. We've now 5 years only till 30%. Good luck with that. And then, but is there a pipeline for keep sustaining this industry with human capital?
I really believe so. I mean, one of the things that we do at the Farm to School Network, it's not only like helping to get to this procurement level of metrics of making sure that for the local foods, but we're also trying to create PDs, or we throw PDs for professional development for the teachers to help them teach stuff to the youth in the classes.
Oh yeah, we can talk about school gardens a little bit.
And I think on top of that, in the department, we have our natural resources academies that are really leveraging our students who are passionate about ag, about sustainability. We have our Future Farmers of America. You know, they've been going and competing on the mainland and doing exceptionally well. You know, and so I think there's a passion and for our students, a sense of purpose of why this is important. You know, and so that's why I think this is a really exciting time. We're all working together on this.
And Act 175 is not just about 30 by 30. The Act includes provisions about developing an educated agricultural workforce, advancing school garden and agriculture education within the department. So it's holistic. It's not just, hey, DOE, you got to buy 30 by 30. It's increasing all of that on the educational side as well, so that the students are learning about agriculture from preschool.
Talk about that a little bit more about the school gardens program. I was struck by the number of schools that actually have gardens, and every child, I guess, gets to spend some time in this garden. How does that change the way a child looks at locally grown food?
Yeah, 90% of DOE schools have a school garden on their school campus. So that means that over 100,000 students are being exposed to food and how it grows from as early as pre-K. Now next year, I heard 2-year-olds are coming into the Department of Education. And so they're learning about pollination, they're learning about photosynthesis, they are planting their own seeds, they're tending to their gardens. On some school campuses, they actually have legitimate farms. Lelehua High School is a 3-acre GAP certified farm. The teacher, their agriculture teacher there 2 years ago won Teacher of the Year. I mean, it's very telling if you look at our education system that we are valuing agriculture education at its very, very highest and most pristine.
And we have Alawai Elementary, where students have farm boxes, PHARM, where they're also looking at growing the kinds of locally sourced produce is good for you. You know, and I visited the second
When you
grade
said
class.
farm, I thought
PHA.
pharma. And then I'm thinking, oh, they're growing medicinal plants.
Food is medicine.
Yeah.
It is. And so, you know, they looked at me and they said, hey, Mr. Hayashi, can we tell you about what's important for your gut? Right? And so
They looked at you?
Yes, they did.
That's not,
But you know,
that's not very nice.
but, you know, they were thinking about me and my health. So they spent some time
Wow,
sharing with
those
me
are children.
what's in second grade about what to eat. You know, and that's the kind, I think, of sharing that we want to have for all of our students.
Wow,
Like,
from
start
the mouths
thinking
of
about
babes. Yeah.
what's important for us, our health, community health.
You know, I want to throw this out a little bit because this is I want to say the 500-pound gorilla in the room, but I should say the 500-pound cow in the room. What about meat, beef, pork, chicken, fish? Is there a licensed slaughterhouse? I've done stories about this, but there is not a ton of local meat. Is there a way to provide locally sourced meat in schools with Rodney and Pearl City? And then Mike and Hilo put it simply, where's the protein coming from?
They do. They have
it's
a
coming.
very high, actually already have purchased large percentage of the ground beef
100%.
and chuck roast. So those are some of the cuts that are not
From the
favorable.
Big Island mostly? or-
Well,
Statewide
statewide.
through
yeah.
the Hawaii Cattlemen's Association. They prior to COVID, the Department of Education had a program which was called Ainapono, which was the early stages of farm to school, where they were doing scratch cooking, local procurement, and a lot of the foundation of what is happening now was laid during that time. And the partnership with the Hawaii Cattlemen's Association was during that time when we were really trying to get more local on the table. And they were stoked. They were like, oh, these are offcuts, low grade, and we have a buyer. And so that's one of the things, if you look at the report, beef is one of the #1 things that helps them to get to their 30%.
Really?
And when we look at pork, you know, again, thanks to the legislature and Senator De La Cruz.
Let me
and
ask you a
planning-
quick question before. So how much of the beef is being produced locally that's being consumed at schools?
Ground beef, 100%.
100%?
Yes.
So why aren't you at 30% and 30?
It's 30% of what we purchase. So
What- oh,
Not every meal contains ground
ground
beef.
beef, right?
every meal I remember from school lunch had ground beef.
The other thing I think is when we talk about pork, you know, there are plans to build a small animal slaughterhouse, right? And so that's for pork, you know, and so we'll be able to purchase local pork, you know, loins, chops, you know, and sell to our schools.
We have all the deer and there's a number of
Well, that's a whole
ungulate issues
USDA
around.
thing, yeah. But these regional kitchens, as they build them out and see the need, they could see a need like we want a slaughterhouse on right next to or inside of or.
Oh, again, it's demand driving the investment. Interesting. Okay. Love it. I think the kids should even take part in growing it.
Yes.
And so, Kawika, we talked about how having a garden with edible food on campus affects a child's approach to the food.
Well, I mean, and again, this isn't the case nowadays, but can you imagine having, you know, mango trees, tangerines available on campus, and when you're hungry, all you got to do is reach over and pull one off the tree.
Little in the shade.
Yeah, I mean, it would cool down the spaces too a lot. I mean, we do have shade trees in school programs and food trees in school programs that we're putting together and trying to initiate and make it so that they are in every school kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions now about the economics of all this, and we talked about it a little bit. You know, my thoughts are mixed about getting more locally grown food in schools. I love the thought in principles, don't think it could be done effectively. It's Chemo on Facebook. At some point, the cost of ag production subsidized by tax money will cost the consumer the same as consuming ag products imported. That's Scott on Facebook. What is the economics of this?
Well, I think, you know, we look at big picture. When the department can purchase from our local farmers, give them the confidence that they can grow, we'll purchase. We keep the funds, the monies in state, and we continue to invest in our farmers, and our farmers provide us, the department, with local ag that we continue to purchase, create a menu. We have students who are eating more nutritious, locally sourced. They share that with their families, with their parents at home. You know, then we can start to really look at building out even community health, right? Impacting our families. I don't think you can put a price on that. I think that is so important when we're all working together to build a system that we can improve the health of our communities, starting with our schools.
Is there any resentment on the part of the school system that this burden is placed on you?
I think it's an exciting time. We just had a meeting today, actually, with all of our school food service managers across the state. They all came to Hawaii, to Oahu, and
They knew this program was going to happen. So
well,
they figured,
that's what today was about. It was about sharing the information, making sure the right information was getting out. It was a time for them for professional development to get together, and so it is a kako thing. You know, it's about us getting together and really looking and planning of how we can support each other.
And during the time of the Ainapono program, Kohala Complex and the Mililani Complex, they were both getting trained up, doing scratch cooked, locally sourced meals. And the cafeteria managers, their pride level just increased. The students were so much more appreciative, like, oh, Auntie, everything tastes ono. And they were, the students who participated in the school lunch program went up. So then the Department of Education is making more money, and that money can then go back to purchase more local products, and it's all connected. And so we have hard data that this works.
You mentioned earlier that you said that there are schools. I got a question from Rosalie on Facebook. Local foods in charter/smaller schools are doing well, not so much with public schools. But you mentioned that there are schools, one very big private school, that's 100% local sourced.
Oh no, 50%.
Oh, 50%,
Kamehameha
sorry.
schools at Kapolei campus, but they're not beholden to the USDA National School Lunch Program, which the Department of Education is. And here in Hawaii, we're one unified school district. So their school district, they're one school food authority. So they have under one big complex regulatory agency, where private and charter schools, they're their own school food authority. So at Ka'ohao Public Charter School, which is the old Lanikai Elementary School, they have their own in-house food service where they're making everything from scratch. They're doing locally sourced. They have all reusables in their cafeteria. There's very little waste. But they participate in the National School Lunch Program. But because they're a public charter school, they're their own school food authority. So they're not beholden to all of the other public charter schools.
Why is the USDA a problem here? I mean, what's the limiting factor from a USDA requirement?
No, yeah, I don't think it's. I think USDA is ensuring that our students are eating.
It's nutrition,
right?
Primarily.
Right, and so for us, those meals need to be reimbursable. So they have to meet a certain standard. And we definitely
reimbursable. For federal
from
funding.
federal funding, right?
Oh, I
right.
see.
And so
okay.
that's really important, so that each of our meals are reimbursable and we're meeting that federal standard.
So it's not strictly a regulation. It's you do have to follow this standard to get the money.
Yes.
How much money is it?
Oh, I would say like 17 million.
But how much do you spend on school lunches?
Oh.
I mean, $9 a lunch we were talking about.
$9 is actually the total cost that includes personnel costs. But so I can get.
Okay, well, it's okay. I mean, but I'm just, again, we were talking about the economics of it. And it sounds like once it's all going, if the dream is realized, people are saving money.
Yes. And Senator Gabbard shared what the cost is to import in the, what did you say, $9 billion?
$3 billion.
$3 billion.
Every year.
Every year.
To import 85 to 90% of our food.
So imagine if that $3 billion was being invested
Exactly.
here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, but you'd have to tell Costco.
No, but we could sell to Costco. We do have local farmers who sell to
are in there
Costco.
now.
We were just, I think there's so much opportunity on so many different levels.
So I'm getting lots more questions about protein again. Lots of fish goes to waste at the fish auctions that could be used to feed students. What about fish? How does that fit into these concepts?
Well, in indigenous traditional knowledge, we had fish ponds. So I think it was a big part of traditional diets. I find it hard to put fish in front of students. I don't know if they're going to eat it all the time unless it's something that's very convenient to you. I know that when fish sticks came out when I was a student, it wasn't my favorite food, but if it was something a little bit more familiar to me, I might have eaten it.
Fish sticks were smothered with cheese most of the time too, as I remember.
I mean, super fried, crispy. They weren't bad, but they weren't necessarily good tasting either. My favorite was always the I was preferable to shepherd's pie sometimes. It really depended.
Shepherd's pie, right? I remember that too. A big scoop, plop, right there with the frozen peas.
It's
frozen
hearty.
carrots.
It filled you up, and you weren't hungry for the rest of the day normally.
So that's potatoes, right? I mean, we can duplicate potatoes with local products, or at least.
Ulu, kalo.
That's another question that I did get. What about using local foods like ulu? That's what this is all about, right? So what are the biggest products that you could see finding their way onto school lunch plates? The biggest potential?
Definitely ulu,
Poi.
kabocha, our ground beef. We have a menu item called a paneolo stew. Bok choy is another one, so I think there's a number of locally nutritious and students would enjoy.
So how far short are we? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm thinking like besides just the main thing, think about all of the different ingredients that are used. Like imagine if we were sourcing pa'akai from
we make
Hawaii.
salt.
Salt,
Yeah.
all of the herbs, all of
Pepper tree.
all of these different nioi for chili pepper. Like there's a lot of ingredients that can be sourced locally that aren't necessarily like the fish or the protein. So there's a way to get to 30 that's not just about the thing that takes up the biggest portion of your plate.
And how is this 30 or 50 calculated? How do they make the calculation? Like what? Mike, maybe you wrote the bill. I mean, how do you get to 30? What is 30?
30% locally produced fruits and vegetables.
But you say it's what you buy.
Right.
Right.
The total cost, 30% of what we purchase is locally sourced.
And where are we now?
Oh, we're at about 5.
Yeah.
But I think 5 where we are now. But with the strategy that we have in place, that includes our regional kitchen, that includes menu development, that includes our school food service managers. So we're not waiting for the regional. Regional kitchen is going to really help us.
You had to develop the
also
will to do this.
Yes, and we have the will. In talking to our school food service managers today, they were excited. They're very committed to feeding our students nutritious meals locally sourced. That was evident today from all of them, and so, but we need to work and continue to create a system that we can make this happen. And that's what we're very much committed to doing as a department.
And part of being creative in creating that system was actually a bill that I introduced in 2024. The House version, it was a companion bill, actually made it to conference, but then it died. And that was, it sets up a recognition program to incentivize schools to actually use locally grown fruits and veggies. Like our schools that compete in sports, everybody gets into it. Why not have them compete to see who can get their percentage up, right? And then they get recognized. And one of the parts of the bill that got added was that opened it up for contributions, even monetary contributions from nonprofit organizations or very rich people who want to just help that particular school, and that'll help the farmers in that school, and so we just got to be creative on this thing. Yeah, and keeps on saying it is a kako thing. It's the legislature, it's the DOE, it's the farmers, it's the community working together to make this happen.
And our students.
Yeah. Yes.
At recent farm fair, we had actually through the Hawaii Ag Foundation, we had a competition statewide for our culinary students, high school culinary students. The 3 finalists actually cooked at the farm fair, and I was fortunate to be a judge. And all 3 dishes were great. The winner was a student from Kalani High School. It was all, but breaded with ulu. And let me tell you, it was awesome.
It was fish with
fish with ulu, right? And so from those recipes that our student created, we work with Roy Yamaguchi and with Culinary Institute of Pacific and the experts to help see what we can do with those recipes so that we can get that on the menu for our students.
And I think it's also worth noting that Superintendent Hayashi was the principal at Waipahu High School for a very long time, and they have a very, very, very celebrated agriculture and culinary arts program. And so food is dear to you, and you know what a successful agriculture program and CTE program can look like. And so you've lived it. It's not something that is of a foreign concept to you.
And so ag culinary, but also health, right? So it's a trifecta approach. So it's important for us to grow, to be able to cook and inform our communities, but also the importance of how does it impact student health, family health, and community health. I think is really important.
Here's another question about a particular area. Why don't we have our own dairy sources? That's a whole historic issue, but there is resistance in some circles to having dairy farms because they have a lot of pollution. But is that something that would hold up the ability to meet these goals?
Well, actually, the Department of Education was on Hawaii Island, they were at 30%. And it was because Hawaii Island had their own dairy. And so all of the students on the island of Hawaii were getting local milk. And so when that dairy...
So that product by itself helped push them to the target.
Yes. So it's all connected.
But I mean, that's the only place there has been a dairy. I mean, in years.
We all had dairies on every island.
In years and years ago, yeah.
Back in the day.
Up until heptachlor, right? That was what killed it.
Haina, you know.
I know, my house was built there. This is Kalani via Facebook. Local agriculture is but part of food security, but yes, we need to get our keiki ono for the foods of our community and not chicken nuggets, kalo, ula, huala, limu, squash, beans, eggplant, so on. Again, how do you change the taste of children that like chicken nuggets and Big Mac?
So one of the things that I do is I run a Hawaii Youth Food Council. And this is a council of students made up from across the state, learning the legislative process through a food system lens. And the real part I'm talking about is teaching them a food system lens, understanding where their food comes from, how it's grown, who's growing it. I think these are all factors that we need to be aware of. With the council, we do hands-on activities where we meet up with the farmers and we go out into their space and we learn things about what they're doing, social justice issues, climate change, where food comes from. And then we use that as their authentic experiences for their testimony when we go in front of the legislature to help make sure that people are hearing them. One of the big things is that legislature or people listen to the youth. And if they understand what's going on and they start talking about it, more of us will probably talk about it and make it a more important thing for positive change.
And I'll back that up. When we have hearings on particular bills and our youth come in to they testify in favor of the bill, I've looked at my committee members and I've seen tears coming down because they can relate. Many of them have children.
Beautiful.
It's just so powerful. Yeah, it makes it real. Yeah.
A couple people now have said the missing link is support for the state for the farmers. Farmers need more land where food can be grown. Legislature needs to protect the agricultural land in Hawaii for this to happen. Pat from Maui. We earlier kind of just blew through the whole land issue, but you know, what is in place? I mean, we know about zoning, but economically, if someone owns a lot of ag land, what is the incentive for them to actually host farmers?
So I can speak to that.
Sure.
So Kōkua Hawaii Foundation, with our endowment, we purchased 8 acres of agricultural land in the heart of Haleiwa town. It was land that was trying to be upzoned by a developer into rural. We're seeing this problem happen right now in Haleiwa
That's the
as
debate
well.
of the council right now.
And so we partnered with.
So you're the person, you own that property?
In Haleiwa.
Okay.
And we're not the property that's on contention right now.
Oh, you're not? Okay,
No,
I was
no,
confused.
no, no.
It sounded like the same amount of acreage. That's right.
It is the same
Okay.
amount of acreage, and it's about a stone's throw away from us, about a quarter mile away from us.
And they're asking to be upzoned from ag to
Urban.
Urban.
Yeah, with 30,000 square feet of retail space. But anyway, so we went to Go Farm. They're the program out of the University of Hawaii at Manoa, where they train farmers. And we said to them, give us your best farmer. Who's looking for land? And so on our 8 acres, we sublease an acre and a half to a commercial farmer. And he pays us in mentorship of our educational farm team. He helped us install all of our irrigation. When you come to our farm, we have viable agriculture happening there. So I think partnerships, public-private partnerships, private landowners who have lots of land, imagine giving 2 acres to 10 Go Farm graduates and what that could look like. So I think we need to be really creative. It's not just up to like the legislature or I think it's a Kākou thing, everyone working together. But that particular farmer has been farming at Kōkua Hawaii Foundation for 3 years, and he's already output 40,000 pounds of produce.
And so that's not a lot of land.
No, it doesn't take a lot of land to grow a lot of lettuce.
You can take and do it on your lanai, but so Kawika, when you talk to people about this getting into the land and farming, are they intimidated? They say, oh, it's too hard to find land, it's too expensive, and then what's the trick to getting them on the land and growing?
You know, one of the smartest things I heard recently, it's not necessarily about getting our land back, and I don't want to get into the argument there. It's more important to get the people back on the land, working in the space, knowing and being connected to it. I've heard of, yes, land price cost is expensive here, but there are land lease programs that you can get into that are fairly cheap, and it's just about making sure that you have the labor really, and the products, the seeds to plant things. And it's, I mean, the hard thing with leases is you're looking for long-term growth, and a lot of times you're looking to do agroforestry and set up different stages. But I think it's really just getting people out there connected and growing, and we'll have food if they're growing.
You know, this is an interesting question. I feel like it could be more sustainable to have individual schools or districts working with local agricultural hubs like adaptions. It's such a large task to feed every school in Hawaii with local food every meal. But if it could break that down into bite-sized chunks, that's a good pun, to tackle that might be more manageable. That's kind of what your model is, right?
Regional kitchens, planned out, 2 on Oahu, 2 on Hawaii Island, 1 on Kauai, 1 on Maui, 1 on Molokai. And then for those schools that are further removed, long distance, like Na'alehu or Ka'u High School, Pahala Elementary, you know, we refit them for them to create their own foods there, more scratch. But like I said, you know, in the meantime, the one regional kitchen in Whitmore, we're building and committed to do that and make that happen for that part of the island, 60,000 meals a day. But at the same time, for the rest of our schools, right, helping to give them the resources and the equipment that they need to create that menu, scratch, to do more scratch cooking, leveraging local produce.
Caller from Waianae says, if we went back to traditional Hawaiian agricultural practice, we could grow a lot more local and sustainable food for our keiki and the whole island. Modern mass farming practices are obsolete. What is the difference between traditional Hawaiian agriculture and the kind of farms that we're talking about to supply to schools? Is it I mean,
I would say
I don't know enough about farming I know what traditional is, but I don't know.
Conventional farms that we look at today are big, large lots growing one thing, one product. So they lack biodiversity. I think that's one big change that I would make, is that you're not growing necessarily every crop for sale, for produce, for export, but you have a multitude of crops so that they can grow together. And that helps with soil health and all kind of other issues, making sure that they have the right nutrients there.
How does that work in terms of economics for that farmer?
Well, as big farms grew and smaller farmers dropped off, it was equipment and all these other things that helped to make that viable. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit taking a step backwards and going to what was traditionally working, but it's having more people work the land. Again, that connection.
You know, this throws out an interesting thing. With the influx of imported macadamia nuts, local macadamia nuts are going to waste and could be used for school lunches, and that's Tai and Kona. And someone else said, can excess produce be donated from farms to local schools? Do we have an imbalance in places of people growing stuff where schools need something, but that's not what they're growing? I mean, I picture, I mean, is macadamia not something that we would provide to schools? That's kind of expensive, right?
And I think when we look at nuts, that we need to be really careful too, because you know, we look at
Oh, the
food allergies,
allergies.
and, right? So what we choose is really, what we select is really important, right? Again, it goes back to the menu.
But I'm kind of curious about what's, again, I keep going back to the economics of this, right? You know, Natalie, if someone can make more money growing an oil crop because we're going to be having natural, locally produced renewable fuels out of oil crops, and they can make X amount, what's to get them to grow for schools?
Well, and that was part of the conversation that happened in Kohala when they first started the Ainapono program, was we had these farmers who they're like, well, I could get more money if I sell to the hotels. But in actuality, the DOE pays fair market value. And so it's this mind shift. Like if I'm a farmer, I would want to sell to the DOE. I would want our keiki to be able to eat the food that I'm growing.
And if the DOE becomes the biggest customer.
Correct, right. And so I think that we're creating opportunities for farmers. So maybe they have multiple outlets for them to sell their produce or to sell their protein or whatever the crop is. But I think it should be known that the department is a viable purchaser, and they're not going for like the lowest bid.
No.
Well, sometimes you are.
Well,
Yeah, but that's one of the things
Yes.
that we need to look at, right? And how we're adjusting our purchasing.
You know, I based on this discussion we've had about GAP processes and requirements, I've had a number of questions about people donating stuff they've grown, say, in a community garden or in their own hydroponics system. Are people able to donate food to a school?
We have the GAP process in place, and that sets a standard. And that's really important because we want to be sure that the foods that our students are eating are safe and are healthy.
But I will say, so we spoke a little bit about Kamehameha schools. So they have been doing purchasing from Kahumana Farm, which is a food hub in Waianae, and they assume all of the liability. So if you are a farmer in
Kamehameha
Waianae,
Schools absorbs it.
no, Kahumana Farm,
Okay.
they are the food hub. And so they are the ones who are holding the liability.
Oh, from the farmers
From
that
the
they're
farmers.
taking.
So
Okay.
they just take food from whoever drops it off. They have all of the traceability and all of the paperwork in order so that if something happens, they know who it came from and whatnot. And so what I'm hearing Keith say is that these regional kitchens could indeed possibly become food hubs where they are in a breadbasket, if you will, of a region where they become the place where the farmers can come and drop off their food. I don't know if that's...
That is definitely part of the plan.
Yeah, so I think that the department is looking at all of these different models for food access, and to be honest, the DOE didn't even know what a food hub was probably 4 years ago.
I coming into the job 4 years ago, I didn't know what a food hub was.
Right, but now...
But I think it was because of a meeting that I attended with local farmers and food hubs. I learned about that, and then I visited a food hub in town, and I learned about how, even as a regular consumer, I'm able to log in, purchase locally sourced foods from the food hub. They'll deliver it to my home, and everything's local.
Hey, you know, that makes me think, Senator Gabbard, what's to incentivize local families to get local food? I mean, the schools that's an institution you could drive, but I had not heard of that before either. You know, is that something that you guys could look at and support the sustainable food hubs all over?
Absolutely. We're wide open. Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that, in terms of the legislators who are there now, it's very positive in terms of having this whole new system work.
And this particular food hub, FarmLink, they take EBT. They take the Bucks, which is a program where you get double the amount of produce if you're purchasing local. And so we're seeing more and more access. And the zip codes that they deliver to are mostly rural. So it's there, and I believe it's about 30% of the food that's purchased, people are using EBT and SNAP to purchase those foods.
Oh, wow, okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Keith. Hayashi, the superintendent of schools, with his goals. Are you going to make the 30% by 2030? It's only 5 years.
We are doing the best that we can to meet those goals. As I shared, I think we're changing the way we're doing business. I think that's one thing. I think we're partnering with different organizations. It is a Kako thing, and we need everyone's help, to get there. But I think it's not only about the percentage, which is really important, but it's also about, in that process, ensuring that our students are eating healthy, locally sourced meals that their families will value, and we can spread those recipes then out to the households, and we definitely will impact then not only school health and our students, but community health. And that's
Kawika, I only have a few seconds left. Isn't that your dream right there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a healthy Hawaii, who wouldn't want that? Having us source our own food, be able to provide for what our keiki need, I think that's what every dad wants to be able to do.
Not just healthy, but good tasting as well.
Good tasting.
That's
Well,
important.
fresh is always better. You go to the mainland and you're paying, $3 for an $8 box of strawberries, and they just taste so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we're pretty much out of time, and I just want to say, thanks to you guys, and I want to thank the viewers. Mahalo to you for joining us tonight. And we thank our guests, School Superintendent Keith Hayashi and Natalie McKinney from the Kōkua Hawaii Foundation, and Senator Mike Gabbard, and Kawika Kahiapo with the Hawaii Public Health Institute. Next week on Insights, the latest on Aloha Stadium. It was shuttered back in 2020, and 5 years later, it's still standing. However, demolition is expected to start in a few weeks. We'll check in to see if that's still on track and how long it will take to build a new stadium and entertainment district. Please join us then. I'm Daryl Huff for Insights on PBS Hawaii. Aloha.
Local broadcasts of Insights on PBS Hawaiʻi are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo.